me ijazah very easily, right? I think after 8 years of studying with him, did we finally get ijazah. I remember when I went as a student for the first time, the first year, I was a hafid. I had a, mashallah, from a young age, we were blessed with, a good voice, I guess, if you want to say. So I went there, thinking, we know Quran and we're hafid and whatever. And our teacher, the first day in class, he sits down, he says, so who can recite Surah Al-Fatiha to me? Who knows Fatiha? And we're like, right here, Surah Al-Fatiha, we will kill it for you. All right, bring it on. Sit down. A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. Stops us. That's incorrect. What? He stops it and we're stuck at a'udhu billah. We're stuck at the ta'awudh, trying to correct that. And here we're thinking we're hafid and yeah, we know everything and mashallah, we can recite beautifully. And that day was the day that I realized that I know nothing. So from that first year, our struggle began to try to perfect our recitation. And it continued. Then we had to go through multiple books of tajweed. Then we had to go to multiple books, both in Urdu and in Arabic, and understanding the science of tajweed. And then only we were able to do the sab'a qira'at after that. So a lot of times what happens is like we jump the gun, right? We have, which is sometimes problematic. Right? The first step that you want when it comes to Quran is perfecting your recitation. First step. Now, I'm not saying, I don't say this to discourage anybody from doing this, because wallahi, this is one of the most dear sciences to my heart. The science of qira'at is something that I wish I could sit down and teach. I don't teach it. I don't have the opportunity to teach it, unfortunately. I have a student, or I have a brother in our community who's doing it with some other scholar online, and sat with me yesterday. I remember just yesterday he sat with me and he was doing it. I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? And I had to like sort of correct things and fix things and help him with that recitation. And so we decided that we would sit together one-on-one. But sometimes people who memorize the Quran, parents who memorize the Quran, I want my kid to understand the Quran. I said, that's beautiful. But take things one step at a time, right? Don't think that your child who's starting to memorize the Quran today is also going to understand the Quran today. There are steps. First, you work on pronunciation, then you get to the recitation part, then you memorize it, and then inshallah will come the understanding part. Don't try to do everything at one time. Then you'll do none of them properly. First step, tajweed. Correct your recitation, correct your understanding of what tajweed is, know the basic rules, and then comes the next step. That's what we did. We did 4 years of solid tajweed. All we did was tajweed, tajweed, tajweed. And then when our teacher thought, okay, from the 65, we have about a few of them that can recite decently. All right, I'll choose you. After we had to submit a letter, a request letter to be part of the program, did we get chosen for it? So I got ijazah after working very hard. I don't think I will be giving ijazah to anybody anytime soon unless that student is studying and I know that they've studied and they know that they know their recitation, they can recite properly. Then only I think it is, I would feel comfortable. I think ijazah also has become something very cheap today. Many people have made it very cheap where ijazah is given out very easily. You want ijazah, read a hadith to me, here's your ijazah, right? That sometimes are ijazah for barakah, for the sake of blessing. But is it like a real ijazah? I think that that's something you really have to work hard for. And if a person has reached a level where they have mastered the science of tajweed and qira'ah, then it could be easier for me to say, yes, then you're now in a position of receiving that ijazah. And just because you have ijazah doesn't mean you can teach, right? I got ijazah 10 years ago. That doesn't mean that you have to go on to start teaching or give ijazah itself. Yes. The ijazah is a permission, when a teacher is confident, a permission to continue on teaching with this chain of narrators. So now you become part of this sacred chain that links back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and through that chain, now you'll have the permission to teach the next group of people. That's what ijaza is basically. So when teachers are confident within their students, they give them an ijaza, they make them part of that sacred link of theirs, and then they take on that permission in teaching that science to the next group of students, and that chain continues to live on in that manner there. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Let's start with one first, inshallah. Yes. Yes. One of the most preeminent. Yeah. Yes. 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 Mm-hmm.
Then I one time.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good question. Good question. Yeah. Good question. So not all of the 5 mushafs were identical. That's a very important point to understand. They were not. That is why he had 5 mushafs. The 5 mushafs were not identical. The reason he has 5 different mushafs was so that all of the qira'at could be accommodated. So one of the mushafs is going to have a word or that letter, for example, tajri min tahtiha al-anhar. One of the mushafs is going to have a min in it, and one of the mushafs that was compiled is not going to have a min in it. One of the mushafs is going to have a waw in front of sari'u, and one of the mushafs is not going to have that waw there. So that is how those qira'at are accommodated. So what's important to know that the 5 that were compiled by Zayd ibn Thabit in the time of Uthman radiallahu anhu were not identical. There were slight variations in them so that those qira'at could be accommodated in all of the overall mushafs. Now, the mushaf that was in, for example, Sham at that time, this is where the omission, the words are omitted. That's the mushaf that existed in Sham at that time, in Sham, and that is why that is the qira'ah of the Shamis, the people of Sham. So if that makes sense, all 5 mushafs or all 6 mushafs were not identical. They were slightly different so that it could accommodate these qira'at, exactly the examples that you were giving. So now the discussion of Rasmul Khat is a very deep discussion, or a whole very long discussion, right? What is Rasmul Khat? What is Rasm Uthmani? Right? Rasm Uthmani doesn't necessarily, just because there is one mushaf that has an omission or addition, doesn't necessarily mean that it's 2 different rasms, right? The style of writing, the rules of the writing that is found, that is sort of what we consider a general understanding of Rasmul Khat or Rasm Uthmani, right? Just because one had an extra word in it doesn't go against the idea that this is against the Rasm Uthmani itself. So I'll give you an example of Rasm Uthmani. So let me go back here in my presentation. Okay, so this word وَقَاتَلُوا وَقُتِلُوا, for example. This is actually not according to the Rasm Uthmani. Because the word وَقُتِلُوا وَقَاتَلُوا, that قَاتَلُوا should have been written without an alif. That's against the Rasm Uthmani. I put that alif there for us to understand the difference between the 2 words there. So the alif is there, I put the alif there. Otherwise, the way it's actually supposed to be written is without the alif, and top of the qaf, as we write in our mushafs, we have the alif written on top of the letter there. That's Rasm Uthmani. This goes against the rules of Rasm Uthmani here. So this is an example of a difference when it comes to Rasm Uthmani, for one of the examples of it. But this is I think a very longer discussion that most people will get bored by, because you have to have a and mashallah, you look like a person of dhawq and shawq in this science. It'd be fun to talk to you a little bit more afterwards. But I think most people probably, what's this Rasm Uthmani that you talk about and are unaware of it. And this itself probably needs a longer session altogether. The Quran was compiled in the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, the first compilation, and the second compilation in the time of Uthman radiallahu anhu. Yeah. Yes.
ये भी हमने स्पेस वगैरह नहीं है
जी
पढ़ रहे हैं तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ये है कि ये हम पढ़ते हैं जैसे उसका या अलवर पढ़ेंगे अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह रब्बिल आलमीन पढ़ेंगे जबरदस्त पेश तस्दीक हर चीज़ आती है इसमें
जी जी
अंडरस्टैंड उर्दू ना
जी 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 जी
सर इसलिए कि ये भी आपने दिखाया और मैंने बचपन में देखा है और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह उस्मान गनी कुरान करीम में देखे
जी
जबरदस्त पेश तस्दीक नून गुंडा वगैरह कोई चीज़ नहीं है इसमें
जी
आजकल हम ये पढ़ रहे हैं बच्चों को भी हम करा रहे हैं कि ये चीज़ पढ़ें करें हम खुद पढ़ रहे हैं
जी
हमारे हिसाब से ये है कि इसमें तलब से पढ़ने में
नहीं नहीं, ये जो हरकत लगाई गई है इसलिए लगाई गई ताकि हमें पढ़ने में आसानी हो, इसीलिए तो इसमें मेहनत की गई थी कि हरकत लगाए फतहा या ज़बर ज़ेर पेश लगाए जाए ताकि फिर हमारे लिए, हम जैसे लोगों के लिए आसानी हो पढ़ने में। वरना फिर अगर ना हो तो फिर हमारा तलफ़ुज़ भी गलत हो जाता। तो ये लगाने से हमारे पढ़ने में आसानी हो गई और पढ़ने पढ़ाने में भी आसानी हो गई। ये तकरीबन ये काम शुरू हुआ है तकरीबन Abdullah bin Zubair's time and Hajjaj bin Yusuf, maybe like 40-50 years after, no more like 70 years maybe, 70 साल तकरीबन आप ससम के ज़माने के बाद तकरीबन 70 साल ये काम शुरू हुआ। ये कोशिश ये हुई कि चले हम कुछ काम करें, नुक्ता लगाने, ज़बर ज़ेर पेश लगाने, तो तकरीबन 70 साल बाद ये काम शुरू हुआ। उस वक्त जो है कई जो है आजमी लोग बाहर ममालिक से मुसलमान हो गए थे, इसलिए वो काम करना ज़रूरी था और ये काम
महफूज में है
जी
होगा जबर ये हमारी सहूलत से हमने बनाया।
ये तो सहूलत के लिए हाँ, हमारी सहूलत के लिए लिखे गए। So yeah, the tajweed was part of the alim course. So even Mufti Izzat studied tajweed for many years, mashallah. He's also a Qari too, mashallah. So tajweed was part of the course. It was, tajweed is just like how as ulama you have to study nahu in Arabic, you have to study tafsir, you have to study hadith. One of the most important sciences is tajweed. So every year, actually all 6 years of the 7 years, you had to do tajweed. Right, so it was actually not just 4 years, actually 6 years of the 7-year course. Every year you were doing a different book on the science of tajweed. Every year you were reading a part of the mushaf to protect your pronunciation and recitation. Then during the course we were chosen to do the sab'ah, so we spent 2 years in the sab'ah, and then afterwards I spent another year after the alim course and specialization, which is to complete all 10 of the qira'at itself. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
I could request Qari Saab to do some recitation.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. It was done on that mushaf there. So the mushaf that was in Kufa was a mushaf that was being done on. So that is the where the qira'ah of Imam Hafs was prevalent, and because of that, when they did the work, they did it in accordance to the Hafs, the qira'at of Imam Asim and Hafs, and that is then what was distributed throughout the world at the time. So I'll do a few different passages. The first one, I'll do Surah Al-Fatiha for us to get an idea of the differences in Surah Al-Fatiha, that there are different ways of reciting it. Now, one way that we would recite to our teachers is known as where we would recite all of the verses together, including all of the variants and all the different recitations. So that is how I will recite it as well. And then you'll hear the differences while I'm reciting. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك الرحيم مالك يوم الدين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم اهدنا الصراط المستقيم اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. That was Surah Al-Fatiha in the 10 different qira'at. That included the Sab'a qira'at as we know it, and then the Ashara qira'at as well. Ji. So there's different ways, so different pronunciations. So one way of doing it is with Sad, Sirat al-Ladina. A different qira'at is actually with a Sin, Sirat al-Ladina. And then one way of reciting, no, the third way of reciting is actually known as Ishmam uz-Za bis-Sad, which is basically you have the sound of Za added with Sad. So Z, Z, Z. Sirat al-Ladina, yeah, it's interesting. Now you think like, wait, why is this a qira'ah, right? But this is one of the modes of recitation, and one of the way of, if you think about it, then this is to accommodate the recitation of the people of the time that the Quran was revealed to. The meaning, like we mentioned, the meaning doesn't. So the meaning, as I mentioned earlier, the meaning may slightly change, but they're not contradicting. So the thing is, very important point is that the meanings are not contradicting each other. And the example I gave was like Maliki and Maliki. One means king, one means owner. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And so, but so if you look at these two words though, they're not contradictory, right, necessarily. Because a king could also be an owner. A king can also be an owner, right? So it's actually adds to the beauty of understanding the ayahs of the Quran, right? So they're very, very minute differences that actually add to the beauty of recitation. So if you open the books of tafsir, there's some tafsirs that will actually discuss, like in this qira'ah, this is how it's recited. And because it's recited this way, this is a slight meaning, the difference of meaning that it gives. That's not contradicting necessarily, but it adds to the beauty of our understanding of that verse itself. I get your point now. I get your point now. So making a mistake of a harakah that's not in the qira'ah is wrong. There's no flexibility. No. If you're gonna read dhamma in the place of a fatha when no qira'ah has that, that's wrong. There's no flexibility in that. You have to hold yourself accountable to fix that, right? So if you know, you're reading, this is general mistake that we most Indo-Pak make, which is, right, if you're hydro, then you're reading kha instead of qaf, right? That's a problem, right? That's a problem, right? Reading Yasin wal Quran al-Majid, that's not a qira'at, right? That's not one of the modes of recitation. That's wrong. Now I'm hydro too, so you know I can make that joke, but that's not the proper way of reciting it, right? I can't be flexible with you and saying, no, read wal Quran al-Majid, it's okay. It's not okay. We work on it. Now, if we're weak, that's one thing. As long as we are making an effort to slowly fix our recitation, alhamdulillah. If someone is still trying to give you a hard time because of that, ignore them. If you're trying, if you're working sincerely and you have a teacher that knows the proper recitation and they're working and helping and you're working and you're trying to make your recitation better, alhamdulillah, inshallah, you will get reward for that and you will not be held accountable, inshallah, for the small mistakes that you may make when you're reciting. Oh, the letter Dad, yeah. The letter Dad. So I in my library, I have books, entire books on just the letter Dad. It's actually a really, really long debate. But no, both are not correct. Both are not correct. Wala zalin is not correct, right? That's not the proper way of saying it. Za is a different letter and Dad is a different letter. So we in the Urdu language, the letter Dad is pronounced as za, as a za sound, but that's the Urdu language. That's not Arabic. So for us to say, well, in Urdu we say the letter Dad as za, so we're going to apply that to Arabic too, that's incorrect. Keep the sound of za, which we find in Urdu, and try to then implement the sound of Dad, which is in Arabic, when reciting the Quran. There are two different ways of reciting it. Okay.
So we'll inshallah hold off on the questions, and after the dua, if Qari Sahib has time, inshallah individually entertain questions. But there are other brothers who will have recitation, and there's another announcement to make. So let's we'll try to slowly wrap up the program, but I really want him to recite in here as well. Alhamdulillah, this is good that everyone has questions. It shows we have zeal, have concern, we want to learn. It's a very good sign, but these questions we could hold after the program. Yeah. Huh? Tomorrow Saturday, Qari Sahib ready to stay a whole night with you guys?
I'll read some of the surahs from Juz Amma, the smaller surahs that we generally recite and know, so that we get to appreciate the differences, inshallah. So I'll start with, let's see, what should I do? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. This was Surah Duha in the narration of Warsh. That has how Imam Warsh recites this, or the narration of Warsh recites, you would recite Surah Duha. I'll go to Surah Al-Fil. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف ماكول. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. So Surah Al-Ikhlas, it's a short surah, but there's like multiple ways of reciting it. So in Surah Al-Ikhlas, in the last verse is where you have all the differences. The last verse of Surah Al-Ikhlas can be recited in multiple ways. So وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفْءًا أَحَدٌ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفْءًا أَحَدٌ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفْءًا أَحَدٌ. So these are some of the ways that you can recite. And I mean, when you add the ashara qira'at, then they tend to get much more as well. I'll end with just the recitation of Surah An-Nas, and then we'll complete the night, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah, Jazakumullahu khairah wa ahsan al-jazaa. It reminds me of the time when we were in South Africa that our teacher and sometimes the students, like Qari Sahab, they would actually recite these in the salah. The one is that we hear it only in the podium, but one is that you come from Maghrib Salah, you come from Isha Salah, and the Imam's reading sometimes in Warish, sometimes in some other Qiraat, and it's a really unique experience. So one thing to keep in mind with all the questions is all these Qiraat, they are Quran. They are tawatur, they are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not something that you have a choice that, oh, you know what, I want to just read it like this because it's permissible. No, it's actually Quran. So we have to treat each one of these recitation as Quran. Each of them are the Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So alhamdulillah, we are very fortunate that in our communities we have the zeal of Quran. Now in our masjid we have an education committee, we have a concern that how can the ta'aleem of Quran, the education of Quran, be disseminated throughout the community. So we made an earnest effort to start out with the younger children, that we have the after school program, we have Sunday school as well. Then those that have proficiency in recitation, we have the Hifz program, not just for boys, but we have a girls Hifz program as well. Those that go to school, we have the after school Hifz program. But we got a lot of interest and demand that, what about the adults? You're doing everything for the children, but adults need to learn Quran as well. And as Qari Sahib said, that it's never too late. There's never an age where you could say that, no, this is beyond me, now I cannot. I've seen 70-year-olds learning the Qaida by me. They have read the Qaida to me. So if someone who's 70 years old could start with Alif Bata, then anyone could recite the Quran. So inshallah, we're starting a program, and a sheet will be passed around, inshallah, that we're just to get a survey, that how many adults in our community, and we'll send an email out as well, are interested in having adult Quran classes. And based on the survey, we could create a program to cater for the adults. And it could be in the evening. So the sheet has, for example, just your contact information, with gender, male or female, your age, and which days works for you, which timings work for you. And based on the feedback that we get, inshallah, we will try to create a program that we could have classes for Quran. First step is to learn the Quran. Inshallah, if everyone recites fluently and we have plenty of Hafiz, we'll have Qiraat programs also, inshallah, starting in the masjid as well. But one step at a time, inshallah. Hafiz Sahab? Yes, adults is high school and above. So adults doesn't mean you have to be married, children, or you're being retired. So if you're in college, you're an adult student. So you could come for that as well, inshallah. So this formally passed around. This is a good opportunity for all of us to, inshallah, engage with the Quran, with an instructor in a systematic manner, so we know that we're improving, inshallah. And again, I would like to say my thanks to my colleague, Qari Noman Sahib, for coming out from Milwaukee, driving down to educate us on this very important topic of Qiraat. Before we leave, I would like Qari Sahib to make a very brief dua, inshallah. After dua.
No, when next visit coming?
When's the next visit going to be? Inshallah, very soon.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wa mursaleen. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اجعل القرآن ربيع قلوبنا وجلاء أحزاننا وذهاب همومنا وغمومنا. اللهم ذكرنا منه ما نسينا وعلمنا منه ما جهلنا وارزقنا تلاوته آناء الليل وآناء النهار واجعله لنا حجة يا رب العالمين. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Kareem, we ask you that you fill our hearts with the nur of the Quran, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, allow us to have the love of the Quran in our hearts, Ya Allah. Allow us to memorize it, understand it, implement it, and propagate it, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, allow us to live our lives in accordance to the Quran, Ya Allah. Allow us to live our lives in studying the Quran, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, allow us to leave this world studying the Quran, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we ask you that you make the Quran a means of intercession for us in the hereafter, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, make the Quran our companion in our graves, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, on the day of judgment, allow us to recite the Quran in front of you and continue ascending the stages of Jannah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we ask you that you honor us in the hereafter through the Quran, Ya Allah. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا رب.
So before you leave, inshallah, let me just give two more upcoming programs, inshallah. The first one is for our sisters downstairs, the youth night for girls, next Friday, inshallah. Girls ages 9 through 18. It will be about building the love for salah. Please make sure you attend and benefit. And then the boys youth night for this month will be January 27th, which is a Sunday evening. We're going to have a father and son bowling event, inshallah, at Wheaton Bowl. Alhamdulillah, we had a very serious and informative, knowledgeable program now. Inshallah, we have a light-hearted program. End of this month, inshallah, we're going to have flyers and also registration link. Inshallah, please take a look at that. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.